want to talk about Lent, how we can use this Lent to get closer to God. And I want to do that with a prayer of the Church of England and also the perspective of the film Schindler's List. But the prayer is the collect for Ash Wednesday. Create and make in us new and contrite hearts, that we, worthily lamenting our sins and acknowledging our wretchedness, may obtain of thee, the God of all mercy, perfect remission and forgiveness. Oh, it's terribly out of fashion, that kind of prayer, worthily lamenting our sins and acknowledging our own wretchedness. But what I want to say is I think there's an accuracy to it. It ends in finding forgiveness. And the accuracy comes, I'm going to illustrate it using the end of the film Schindler's List, which is, most people watching this will know, is the true story, or based on a true story, about Oscar Schindler, who was the German businessman in the 40s, who extraordinarily went against the grain of society and found a way of saving Jews from the death camps. And he did it by insisting that certain individuals were required to work in his factories. And then within that, he would then bribe German officials to keep away, to turn a blind eye to what he was doing, to the fact that all these Jews were quietly working in his factories. And he managed to keep kind of spinning the plates going with hundreds of Jews working in his factories until the end of the war. And so whilst millions of people died in the Holocaust, these particular Jewish individuals, and I understand it's over 1,000, were saved because they were on Schindler's List, Oscar Schindler's list of people who were crucial to his business. So he saved them. And at the end of the film, there is an extraordinary scene between Oscar Schindler and Itzhak Stern, who is his kind of chief financial officer, the person he's been working with most closely. And everyone from the factory has lined up to wave Schindler goodbye because it's the end of the war. They've survived. They know they've survived. He's heading off to try to get to the American side. They all sign a letter thanking him to try and save him as well in case he gets in trouble from the authorities, wondering who is this kind of Nazi sympathizer. And the letter explains what an incredible thing he's done. But Schindler doesn't feel that way. Schindler looks around and he knows both what he's done, but also the weird currency he had of bribing officials to save individuals. And he just says to Stern, I've wasted so much money. And he looks at the car, which is a very fancy car he's about to drive off in. And he said, why didn't I sell that car? If I sold that car, I could have saved 10 more. He even gets a pen out of his breast pocket, which has got gold tip. And he looks at it and says, I could have saved one. Could have saved one more with this pen. All he can see is what more he could have done. And Stern has to correct him and he says, Oscar, look, you saved us. You've saved hundreds of us here. Look at us all. And there'll be generations of Jewish people who live because of the act that you have done. And Stern knows just how extraordinary Schindler was for working against the grain, not being complicit. So many people are complicit. He actively worked against it to save them. He owes Schindler his life. And he's saying, forgive yourself, Oscar, you've done an incredible thing. But Schindler, at that moment, can't. And the key to me is to recognise that both these perspectives about Schindler are correct. Both he could have done more. Schindler is right. But also, he has done an incredible thing. And that, if you can hold both those perspectives in your mind, think about your own life. We have one shot at it on this earth. We go through it one time. And I think that Ash Wednesday collect has it, worthily acknowledging your own offences, not overplaying it, worthily doing it. Actually, if we're honest and accurate about our self-assessment, we make a real muddle of our lives. And there are so many opportunities to do good that we miss. So let's be honest about that. But remember, we have a merciful God and we find forgiveness in him. So let's not kind of lose hope. And God will forgive us because, of course, we'll fall short of the glory of what he's wished for us. But can you hold both those things in your mind? But I think in Lent, it's especially really to hold the Schindler perspective more than the Stern perspective. It's looking at what more we can do. And if you can do that, then Lent is an amazingly meaningful time to really re-examine ourselves.